What's going on, everybody? Tom here with Keto Lifestyle, and today I'm bringing you another Keto for Beginners episode. And this one is one that you might be interested in. The topic of this video is actually why you might not be losing weight. And this can be very frustrating for people who are just starting out and don't understand what's stopping them from losing weight. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you might not be losing weight on keto. But first, if you have not subscribed yet, go and hit that subscribe button down there. Helps me out a ton, and it takes you 2 seconds, and you'll be notified anytime I release another video like that. But anyway, let's get started. So reason number 1, and this is probably the obvious answer that you're probably expecting, is you're eating too many carbs. Now, this can be a little bit frustrating because you may be tracking your carbs, but there are definitely hidden carbs in things as well. And I've noticed that certain foods don't even label it properly. So that is something to be cautious of. You know, I don't care what variety of heavy whipping cream you get. There are some carbs in there. Even if the box says 0, there are carbs in there. Same thing can be said with cheese. I have shredded cheese downstairs. It says there's no carbs. That's just simply not true. So this can be a little bit frustrating when you're losing weight because you think you're tracking every carb that you're eating, but in reality it's just the packaging is mislabeled, and it's something that you just need to be cautious of, and you need to kind of double check that what you are eating is in fact what the package says. Another frustrating point could be in medication. Sometimes vitamins, medication have carbs in them. I showed you guys in my Beating the Keto Flu video, which I'll put on the card up here, that some of the vitamin supplements you take have carbs in them. That can really add to your daily total as well. And remember, you need to be tracking all of these things. But for the most part, as long as you're staying under 20 net carbs a day that you're tracking, you should be okay, because that number can be a bit higher and you'll be fine. But I like to keep that 20 net carb number a little bit low in assumption that we're going to miss a few things along the way. So point number 2, and this one kind of goes along the same lines, is you're having too many calories. Now, this can be things for like snacking on nuts, you know, making those keto treats that everybody makes from Keto Connect. And yes, some of them are awesome, but there's a lot of sugar alcohols in those, and those can actually put a damper on your ketosis. Alcohol in general can put a damper on your ketosis. Too much protein. If you're going insanely high on protein, your body can actually create glucose through a process known as gluconeogenesis, in which your body takes excess protein and turns it into glucose, which will halt ketosis. Now, you have to be going really high in your protein for this to be a factor, so I doubt that's most of you guys. But think about the other ones. Are you snacking on things that may or may not be getting logged? Are you actually logging everything that you are putting in your mouth? I mean, this is a common thing. You just go, oh, it's just a pinch, it doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does. So keep that in mind. Make sure you are tracking absolutely everything that you put in your mouth, and that'll give you an idea on, you know, if your calories are in the right range. And if they are and you're following your diet strictly, you may need to consider lowering your calories, because from what I understand, calories do matter on the ketogenic diet. Now, the reason I say from what I understand is that has been my experience. There are people out there who are trying to argue that calories don't matter so much as the way you get them. Jason Whitrock being a huge one, and I love Jason Whitrock, so I'd love one day to actually become a big enough YouTuber to sit down and have a conversation with him about this. Anyway, check out his channel if you're curious about that. Moving on to point number 3. Now, this is the one that may strike a lot of you guys off guard, and it's going to sound like something I just completely pulled out of thin air. And it's called the whoosh effect. I didn't name it. I think it's a really dumb name, but here's what it is. As your body is losing fat, sometimes it can try to store water in place of that fat. So what it can look like on the scale is you've actually lost body fat, but the scale's not budging, or it might even tick up a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you know, a week later, overnight, you've lost 5-6 pounds and you have no idea what happened. They refer to that as the whoosh effect, and it's something that I wasn't too familiar with, except that I find that it happens to me all the time. In fact, my weight loss in general kind of looks like this. It's like a staircase. It's really peculiar. So I started doing research, and this is what I came across, and there's been a lot of studies done on it. So that could be something that's going on with you. You might just be on one of those plateaus where your body's replacing, you know, certain fat that it's losing with water, and it's going to all drop off at some point. And like I said, it happens overnight to me, which is really crazy. But that can only be the case if you're following your diet and, you know, doing everything properly. So if you're not following your diet, take that into account first. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here, point number 4, is actually cheating and refeeding. Now, I used to be a big believer in refeed days. I used to do one every 2 weeks because, you know, there's the whole, you've only got so much leptin in your body, and you need, you know, every 15 days you should have some carbs to replenish your leptin. More and more science is coming out to say that that's not exactly true. And to be honest, I've gone months without having any type of refeed, any type of carbs. Now, That's not to say that every once in a while you shouldn't have a little extra calories. Now, if you're following your ketogenic macros, maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, whatever you feel comfortable with, go 500-600 calories over what you are normally eating. Now, that being said, don't go crazy on the carbs. We'll touch on that in a second. But if you're just doing a strictly keto refeed, where you're gonna go ahead and eat, an extra, say your macros are 1,600 calories a day. You wanna keep the same ratios, but eat 2,300 calories one day, that can actually help you lose weight. Now, that's a little bit different than doing like a carb refeed, and I have done some of these in the past and I have had success with them, but I kind of just don't feel good when I do it, so I try not to, but I have had myself lose weight, the days following. But what a carb refeed is if you do it properly, you'll basically have really good complex carbs, and a lot of them on a day, and drop your fats really low and keep your protein about the same. The problem is people take this as a full out like binge day where it's candy bars and Burger King and everything. If you're gonna do a carb refeed, I really recommend sticking to like your rice, your sweet potatoes, things like that. I mean, yes, if you want to give yourself like a special meal, that's fine, but don't go to the extreme, because that's gonna just really set back your weight loss. You could have a 5,000 calorie day for all you know, and that would really hurt you in the long run. So I don't really recommend carb refeeds too awful much. But that being said, it's worth a try if you're just stuck and everything else is going perfectly, but whatever reason you can't lose weight. It might be worth it just like on a Saturday or something, having 300-400 grams of carbs, cutting your fat in half, and then getting back on keto the next day. You will probably see a 5-ish pound weight increase the next day, but throughout that week you'll see it drop off, and if you're anything like me, you might be down another pound by the time it's done dropping off, which can be beneficial to some people. And the fifth thing that I want to talk about with you guys is your general lifestyle. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean like your eating habits, but how are your sleeping habits? What is your stress level? Things like that. Are you exercising for too long? Now, there are certain points in life where things get stressful, you're not sleeping, and there's nothing you can do about that. But that can be a reason. Lack of sleep can severely affect your body. Stress can severely affect your body. I know that's nothing that you haven't heard before, so I won't ramble on and on about it. But just keep all these things in mind. So let's just kind of quickly recap. Make sure you're following your diet. So I broke this down into 2 sections, but are your carbs too high? Are you experiencing carb creep from like hidden carbs that you weren't expecting in medication or things like that? Are you just not tracking things properly? 2, how are your calories? Are your calories too high? Have you been following your diet? Are you logging every little thing you put in your mouth? And believe me, I do. It's really annoying, but you can do it. It takes an extra 2 seconds before you put it in your mouth. The whoosh effect is a serious thing, guys. Like, I thought it was a joke, and then I started doing research on it, and I mean, that's literally how my weight loss works. So I'll show you a graph one of these days once I have more data points to show you. But that's a real thing. Keep that in mind. Cheating and refeeding, again, maybe every now and again you need to up your calories real quick, but I wouldn't really recommend going crazy on the carbs. But if you have to do it, give it a shot once, see how you feel. Personally, I feel like garbage, so I choose not to do that. And finally, we just mentioned this one, your lifestyle. Are you sleeping enough? Are you stressed out? If so, try to avoid that, because that'll help you out in all sorts of aspects of your life. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the video. If you have not subscribed yet, please feel free to do so, because it really does help me out a lot. If you have somebody that that's suffering from this and really could really use some encouragement to keep them on their diet, go ahead and share this video with them. And if you like the video, leave it a like. And if you have any questions, something like that for me, leave it in the comment section. And obviously, I'm here to answer questions. Some of this, the actual inspiration from this video came from a bunch of questions I was getting on my Instagram. But with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.